Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, folks. It's the one and only V the Guerrilla coming to you live on this edition of the Outer Limits. And we haven't had an Outer Limits episode in quite some time. Jet Blake, folks, if you're somebody living under the rock somewhere, we have the one and only, the scientist at large, the physicist of a physicist, the one and only Jet Blake is with us. And I had to have Jet Blake back on because, you know what, there's a lot of course, the geopolitical, the geostrategic, the geoeconomic, but there's also the astrogeological stuff that's been going on as well. And there's been earthquakes, there's been tsunamis, there's been volcanoes erupting left and right. And the last time I had Chet on, which about 5 months ago, he warned us about all this stuff. And now it's happening. So I was like, you know what? Let's get Jet back on. Let's get his latest synopsis of what's really happening globally and around the world and where we're potentially going to go. So with that being said, Jet, welcome back, buddy. How are you?
Oh, real good. Does everyone have their seatbelt on and strapped?
Everybody's strapped in. They got the seatbelts. They got their coffee in hand. They're ready, man.
Okay, so I was thinking I've been affiliated with you over 8 years, so
Yes.
we go way back,
Yep.
and we had our regular shows, but then I had a special assignment working on Medbed technology, and I was assigned the superfluid.
But Jet, I thought Medbeds were science fiction.
No, they do work. Here's what's interesting, because I consider myself the good guy, and I'm not part of a government program or DARPA.
No.
They have endless money. You guys clearly have gone over that in detail. We don't. So we have the shoestring budget. But the med beds that they have, they're a lot more advanced than we have a working prototype. But they're able to like regrow limbs. So say there's a missing finger or an ear.
Yeah.
Where we're not that advanced. But what we are able to do is help. And then I'll get into the volcanoes. This is just a brief catch up. The different organs, the body is a major tuning fork for review, and the DNA has antennae. It can receive incoming signal and emit signals. So the human body is very complex because it's an orchestra. It's a musical instrument, and organs vibrate at various frequencies.
Yeah.
We have the Schumann resonance, where the earth and the plants and the soil chemistry has a certain vibration. Well, if there's problems with a particular organ or area of the body, if you know that frequency and you're in a chamber that has the proper frequency, it can help the cells and the mitochondria resonate at that frequency for healing. So the cells can replicate the immune system, and that particular area or organ can be centralized, and you can create a chamber where there's an environment where it's conducive for healing.
Right.
Well, for that to work, you have to have a superfluid. A lot of people don't know about that, and that's where I came in working on this. I'm like, great, you gave me one of the most difficult assignments. Anything else you want to give me to work on? So for these last few years, I've been working on that and dialing that in. But yeah, med beds they do work. They absolutely work. We have working prototype. The black budgets, they're way ahead of us because they've got unlimited money, and but that's where they're at. So that's why I've been kind of in the cave, and one of the important projects I'm working on, and in conjunction with that, these agricultural products to be able to enhance through electromagnetic fields and frequencies, getting plants to grow and plants be healthier and to produce more carrots, more tomatoes, strawberries, what have you. So I've been working on that as well. Why? Because when we get into this presentation, the sun is getting ready. It's recalibrating, and our understanding, and this audience knows me well enough. You're either listening to this interview or you're not, because you know where I come from. So in field theory, we're under the impression that there is a God, or there is definitely a super intelligence that's not in our plane of existence or in a higher dimension. That thought or that intelligence controls frequencies, and it also programs stars like our sun. The electromagnetic energy coming out of the sun has data attached to it.
Right.
And who programs that data? Well, in conjunction with the solar system anomaly, the sun is going to be reconfigured, and we're going to enter a mini ice age in approximately 170-ish, 180-year cycle. And during the peak of this mini ice age, the inhabitable zone will be no more than 21, 22 degrees north south of the equator. It'll be too cold in what we used to call Canada, northern United States, Europe, Russia, and so forth. Humanity will have to move down, and the growing zone will be condensed until the cycle finishes, and then agriculture will resume to like it is today, way up in what we would call the Canada, United States border, Northern Europe, and so forth. So what do you do in the meantime? Well, you have to have technologies to maximize plant production and growth, because you have less farmland, agricultural farmland, and less production. So if you can amp up that production, then you have enough food supply. So these are long-term projects. But to go back to the main thing, because I've had a lot of requests. I've had many requests for talk shows and news agencies, and a lot I've turned down because I don't know them.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're up to. They're suspicious. There's only a few, you and two others, who I know very well and I'm comfortable and have a friendship with. And the others, I'm like, no, just go to Rogue News, go to the other. I just don't have time to do it, which is true, but also I don't want to get involved with them. So this information that the audience is receiving is quite rare. And this audience won't make the mistake, but audiences make the mistake that they think that they can do a search engine on the internet or go to Wikipedia. And if they don't find it there, then they dismiss the information going, well, Jet Blake or Weston talking about this, he's pulling this out of thin air, because we can't validate this on the internet. And I'm like, you're not going to find this on the internet. So most people are conditioned to their thinking process, and their reality is within certain bookends. And it's bookends that have been developed through the educational system, that our parents, grandparents, and if anything is outside those bookends, the human tendency is dismiss it right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I had to retrain myself because I was classically trained in atomic theory. I've got degrees in chemistry, environmental science, advanced degrees, patents, as you know, U.S. patents with cold plasma, with my air and surface purification technology.
Correct.
So I had to, it's been almost 30 years now, re-educate myself on field theory. And field theory, as we discussed on previous shows, that is a more accurate model on how life works in all dimensions. And unfortunately, that's been suppressed by the global academia and government agencies and so forth. They understand that, and they are researching that. But at universities and textbooks or corporations, we're taught atomic theory and focus on atomic theory. Well, after 30 years, I'm really starting to understand field theory, and I'll never stop learning. And that is information where you think outside the traditional bookends. So with that being said, a couple things, what's happening, the Earth, the interior planets are being affected, but we'll talk about Earth because this is where we live. But there's issues in Mercury, Venus, Mars as well. There's energy that the Earth is absorbing. In review, we covered this. And the energy is something other than the normal electromagnetic energy it gets from our closest star, our sun. So the question is, where's this energy coming from? What's causing the energy to be absorbed by the Earth's core? Same thing with Mars and Venus, Mercury. But that absorption is heating up the surrounding magma. The magma is in various chambers and plumes, but it's also different viscosities and different physical characteristics. The magma that our continental crust is floating on is a different consistency than the magma surrounding the core. But as the core has extra energy and that magma around it is affected, it expands and it rises, and it's displacing the glassy, rocky type, different viscosity that our continental plates are floating on. So in ancient Earth geology, there's thousands of volcanoes, probably more at sea level, seafloor, than above ground. So if you add up the ancient volcanoes on seabeds, ocean floors, and then above ground, there's a lot of them. So you have to think, well, where are these volcanoes or seamounts? What caused them in the first place? Well, as they crisscross our globe, northern and southern hemisphere, picture these volcanoes as pressure relief valves.
Yeah.
So what happened is over time in Earth's development, there was interior magma pressure. And I hate to be graphic, but if you have a pimple on your cheek or something and there's a whitehead, if you
you squeeze it, it pushes out.
Okay, so that's what happens is the magma has to go somewhere. Otherwise, if you don't have pressure relief valves, the Earth could blow up like if you blow up a balloon too hard and it pops right in your face. Right. You stretch the balloon beyond its limits. Well, when you have volcanic activity, it releases the steam, the pressure, the sulfur dioxide gases, and that keeps from huge explosions.
Sure.
So trunk lines of volcanoes are a good thing. These zipper lines of volcanoes are pressure relief valves. Well, depending on solar system harmonics and electromagnetic frequencies, these volcanoes can be dormant for thousands of years, 1,000, 5,000, 10, 12,000 years. There are some times when they become active because there's internal pressurization of planet Earth. We're living in a time period, Vic, V and Nick, we're in a time period where the Earth has steadily been pressurized for 20 plus years now. And it's not because of our solar cycle 25, the sun's solar cycle. Solar cycles last about 11 years because this solar cycle is not unusual than previous solar cycles. In fact, the last several solar cycles, so the last several chunks of 11-year increments, the solar cycles have gotten weaker and weaker and weaker. So you go, wait a minute. If these solar cycles, 11 years at a time, we're in solar cycle 25, if solar cycle 23, 24, 20 have been getting weaker, what the heck is happening to the Earth that's causing this magma pressurization and rising, and all these volcanoes that have been dormant for hundreds, if not thousands of years, now they're active.
Yeah.
They're off-gassing. Magma is coming. So we had that Korshenikov volcano that was a 8.8-ish magnet. Yep. That's massive. By the way, 8.8 is unbelievable. Here's what happens. If you take all the bombs, if you take all the, let's say since World War I, when they had the first introducing aviation with the biplanes, and then you had the Red Baron with the tri-wing Fokker, and the pilots were dropping bombs from the cockpit. So if you take from World War I to today and you add up all these bombs, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, so forth, and you put them all together and exploded them, it wouldn't reach 8.8 magnitude.
Yeah.
Okay. So this happened around 12 miles, the epicenter, about 12 miles below the surface. Well, in geology, 12 miles below the surface, oh, that's scary close. See, what you want to see, if you want to see any kind of activity, what's safe is if it's 120, 200 miles below the surface. 12 miles below the surface, that's like panic time.
Yeah, so, that's really getting to the
surface.
Yes.
Yeah, so these magma corridors are getting ready to breach the surface. Did you get did I send an email? Did you get that real short YouTube?
Yeah, the modeling magma, that video.
Yeah, could you play that to your
absolutely
audience?
Absolutely. Yeah, let me bring it up. Cowboy, I'm going to share my screen here real quick. There we go. All right, buddy. Go ahead.
Now don't play it yet. Just okay. Before you play it, it's not, what is it? It's like 1 minute or a little. It's
58
quick.
seconds.
Okay, so what happens is before you hit play, he's got that Bunsen burner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just picture the Bunsen burner as the core heating up or getting additional electromagnetic energy. So picture that. So this Bunsen burner is obviously heating this beaker. Now, see, he's got a kind of has a burgundy color liquid.
Yeah.
In the beaker. All right, picture that as the magma surrounding the Earth's core. Now, as in a second, as soon as you hit play, watch as this heats up. All of a sudden, that material that's symbolizing the plume, the burgundy material, nothing happens. But if you look at the far right of the beaker, you'll see that it burps. Instantaneously, it burps, and that burgundy fluid acting as the plume shoots up. And then towards the very end, maybe the last 10, 12 seconds of the video, he'll reach in and turn that beaker around, and you'll see that burgundy material rising. And that's what's happening. This is a good model. This is what's happening to the magma, and it's starting to breach the surface all around the planet Earth, the northern and southern hemisphere. Go ahead and play it.
There we go.
Watch on the right side of the beaker. See how it burped?
Yep.
It shot up. Watch, and he'll turn it with his hand.
There it is. Oh, it's starting to break.
Starting to break. Watch. Where it's like last 10 seconds. And then you can pause it right as he turns the beaker. Boom, right there. Okay, so see how all that burgundy material is, see how the plumes up and it's at the top? That's what's happening worldwide. All the magma now is rising and it's pushing underneath seafloor, continental crust, and volcanoes everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen is, as far as, and this is a review, we covered this before. When you hear about black swan events, usually black swan events, if we talk about economics, global economy, or a lot of times black swan events could be human orchestrated. And you and Velas and others you talk in detail. You can have situations in 2001, Oklahoma City, what happened 2020 through 2024 type things. What we're understanding is there's going to be a black swan event, but this is something that alphabet agencies are not in control, because this is going to be global with Earth's geology. And this will interrupt all government activity, all global economies, because when you have massive earthquakes and tsunamis and volcanic activity, you're going to have major loss of infrastructure, seaports, shipping lanes, air travel will be non-existent. They'll have to cancel flights, because when you have not 1, 2, but you have 30 to 60 volcanoes active, that volcanic ash, you can't have jet engines in those particulates. So what happens is when you have hundreds of trillions of dollars of a global economy or global assets, when you interrupt this, well, this is going to cause huge problems. Another thing is the major complication stresses that we're going to face. So this is kind of a doom and gloom, but I can't sugarcoat this, because it doesn't do any good to lie to you and the audience and say everything's going to be okay. There's going to be white hats, and no, not the data that we have. Or if you want to roll your eyes and you want to consider ancient texts, there's a timeline. No, things are not going to be okay. The stresses that you and I and our families are going to face are going to be beyond normal human capability to endure, because as governments and the economies are strained because of these geological events, and governments are bankrupt, insurance companies completely bankrupt. Well, that's the backbone of financial. You can't get loans unless you have insurance companies to insure the asset. So everything falls apart. But it's already affecting food cycles, because part of this magma rising, it's heating the ocean floors. Well, as this heats the ocean floors, we had warned that there's trouble with the ocean currents, and the oceans are the main temperature regulating of the earth. It's like your radiator and coolant system of your cars and trucks. Well, the ocean currents are slowing, and in some cases they have stalled. Even recently, they've made announcements last week. Some of the ocean currents are stalling.
Yeah, I think the North Atlantic is starting to stall.
Yes, and I go, well, yeah. If you listen to Rogue News, and years ago I said that this was coming because this models were happening. Well, that's affecting the jet stream, because now the Earth has to use the jet stream to try to pick up where the ocean currents are failing. Well, the jet stream,
real quick. This has just been another earthquake right now in New Jersey, New York area. A small little tremor. Another one.
Okay, yeah, and you had the 3.0
just right now.
Yeah, so we'll get into that. If you want to do, I sent you 3 pictures. Did you get them in your email?
Yeah, I do have them.
One of them says Volcano 2.
Okay.
Do you see Volcano 2?
Yep. Let me get there. Bingo. Okay. Volcano 2. Okay. Let me. Cowboy, I'm gonna bring this up. Share the screen real quick. Boom. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay.
All right. There it is. Volcano 2.
Okay. So in that, to go along, and let me finish my statement, the jet stream now has to try to pick up where the ocean currents are lacking. The problem is the jet stream isn't near as efficient. So what happens is, because of the ocean currents slowing down, or in some cases stalling, the Earth is acting schizophrenic, and so is the jet stream. So what happens in the Midwest here, I'm in Missouri, and you're not, in the Midwest, we had, for example, the last week, we had this 112, 113 heat index, this pocket of where it just parked right over the Midwest. It was miserable, absolutely miserable. You can't function outside. It's too darn hot. Well, what's happened is, in the Midwest here, the free-range chickens have not been laying eggs. They can't lay eggs in this extreme heat. There's been no fresh eggs for a week and a half, 2 weeks. No, it's actually like 2.5 to 3 weeks, no eggs. So the reason why I bring this up is plant, row crops, and animal husbandry will be affected by these extreme climate incidences, and it all has to do with what's happening in our solar system and the Earth. So we're going to be hit with eventually food shortages, or very high food prices. Well, everyone's living from check to check. That's going to hurt. And then you have infrastructure damage with volcanoes, shipping lanes, aircraft. You can see how this is all coming to a head. In that drawing that you have, this kind of shows the 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of major, these are guesstimations, but major magma trunk lines, corridors. And then there's plumes that shoot off of that. So number one and number 2 is that Pacific Rim that you hear a lot about. And it kind of originates in Indonesia, but it goes through the Philippines, up north, Philippines, Japan, up the coast, in Russia, where we're having all this volcanic activities. There's 68 volcanoes in that trunk line, Krashenikov, where it had that big massive earthquake. Then it wraps around Alaska, and then comes down the coast of Canada, Vancouver, Canada, and then all the way down California. The other leg, number 2, goes around New Zealand. You have the North and South Island. New Zealand's comes down around into Antarctica, and then comes up all along South America, Central America, but Chile, Peru, all along that line, and then they kind of meet right there, near San Diego, Los Angeles-ish area.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a hot zone. Well, it's called the Pacific Rim, highly active. Well, it's a lot more volatile now than before. The trunk line that you see number 3 going from Indonesia, that's the one that goes through the Middle East and the Mediterranean. Highly, highly active historically in Earth's past. And that's just going to wreak havoc with the Middle East and Turkey, Greece, Italy, Spain, and France. Newsworthy. And number 4 is the least populated. So it goes down south of Africa near Antarctic and then comes up in the Atlantic. That's what caused the Atlantic Rift. Well, it's active, but those are undersea mounts. So they don't get much news coverage, but the Navy fleets are aware of this because their submarines are hitting these sea mounts and they have to map them more frequently. Lots of activity there. It's just not in the news because it's under the sea. But boy, is that so? Things are shaking, rattling, and rolling. Here's the part that's woo-woo, but I want people to consider. And do I think the audience right now will believe this? No, absolutely not. I don't blame you. However, all I could ask is try to not dismiss this right away, but just think about what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is there's a lot to reality that we're not taught, and conscious thought is very powerful. And there's been documentaries and books have written. Our thoughts are very popular as far as influencing reality. You can always be around negative, and then negative events happen, or you can have strong will, and you can create opportunities. There's a lot to be said to that, mind over matter.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Same thing in the scriptures. It talks about how important association is. Being with the right, so you can have bad association, good association, and entertainment media. You can have bad association through videos or Hollywood. So mental capacity and what you focus on absolutely has an impact. There is consciousness and a mental aspect to this that is not human, that is of grand scale. So if you want to get into source or God or creator, we know this exists in counter space. That's absolutely real. The question is, what is this intelligence, this consciousness? And if it's more than one, if you want to say the angelic realm or other spiritual beliefs, your audience, you might have a wide range audience. Whatever your model is, from your spiritual understanding, think of this question, and then I'll explain what's going to happen. It is happening, but from this point forward, a very great concern. If you look at human right now, and this is a rhetorical question, but you or Nick could answer this if you want. Do you think human society now, do you think we're heading in the right direction, in a very positive direction with the younger generations and with government behavior and with corporate technologies?
No.
I think negative.
I think in the Western world we're reaching a crescendo of absolute falling apart and debauchery. You name it, man.
It is. It's falling apart. Now, look. What if you take, say, the Western world, like you, because that's where you and I are, United States. Let's take this model. It's not conducive for longevity because when you lie and falsify figures and economies, and you have corrupt government officials, and this file can't be found, and we have it, no, we don't. Oh, now we have a video. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking code. That's not sustainable because it's corruption. Corruption is a cancer. If you have a nice F-150 pickup truck, you go, oh, this looks good, but you go crawl underneath it and the frame is all rusty because it was a guy in Minnesota where salt during the winter and everything. The vehicle's totaled. You're a car guy.
Yeah.
Once that frame is gone, and it doesn't matter how pretty the interior and the paint is, the substructure, the frame is beyond repair. So we have this cancer. Do you think that cancer would be allowed to explore the galaxies in the universe and affect? No.
No way. You got to purge the cancer out.
You got to purge the cancer out. Yeah. So what's happening is there's an anomaly that's in our solar system, It cannot be defined by atomic theory. If you use atomic theory physics, this doesn't exist.
Sure.
If you use field theory physics, oh yes, this can exist. And according to field theory, this has happened before. Like, what caused the flood of Noah's day? What caused a geological event to cause this great flood where water came down for 40 days, but water also shot up? Because what people aren't aware of, it's not taught too much in school. There's more water under the Earth's crust than on the surface. You're like, what? Go, yeah, there's quite a bit. Some say maybe 7 times more, but whatever it is, it's more. So there's a lot of water. Well, what were the dynamics that caused that water to shoot up for 40 days as well as water to come down? That wasn't a regular sun solar cycle. Something entered our solar system that caused the Earth's core to heat up and manifest geological changes, which caused a reset to human society. What I'm trying to tell this listening audience, laugh if you want, there is a greater consciousness that brought in an anomaly in our solar system. The Earth is behaving like it has in the past, and this is a reset. And this isn't fun and games. To survive this reset, say this is a warning or this is encouragement. I'm not getting, we don't get paid for this. I'm not selling any membership
courses. No courses, no how-to books here.
Yeah. So what happens is, I kid you not, the way to survive this, strategic decisions will help in the short term. Absolutely. Where you live, if you're out of debt, you have provisions, storable food, you have cash, you have physical gold, silver, certain cryptocurrencies. Okay, that's smart and that's prudence. That will help buy some time where the unprepared neighbor is going to be hurting. But that might buy you, as an illustration, that might buy you 2 years of what's coming, of options, because you've prepared well, eating right, physically that will help. Once we reach that 2-year point, I don't care how much, if you have a bunker, how much storable food, how much Bitcoin, gold, or silver, we're going to get to a point where that's irrelevant. How are you going to survive this? This is strictly a spiritual event at a high conscious level, with your mind and your heart condition being connected spiritually. And I know this is when I start losing people, but I look at historical Earth events and human society, and there's a correlation. Atomic theory is kind of sterile, and it doesn't consider a God or source or an intelligence that can maneuver solar system events to cause an outcome. In field theory, it does explain, oh yeah, there is a higher consciousness. You have to have a higher consciousness because there has to be something that emits electromagnetic frequencies, and there has to be an intelligence that programs data on those electromagnetic frequencies. That doesn't happen by accident. It's not evolutionary. So all these years I've studied, what is this intelligence that fuels these galaxies, these stars? Where's the energy coming from that has the electromagnetic energy, of which we're all connected to? Is that intelligence okay with current human behavior? Was it okay with current human? No. When there's a lack of spirituality, then a can of, whoop ass, right?
Yep.
Is open. So we're seeing this. This harmonizes with ancient texts as well. So my caution is, and my encouragement, is this survivable? Absolutely. Does it look like the majority will survive? Probably not. Historically, that hasn't been the case because most people are asleep. They're not taking any notice, and they're strictly in the physical. They stay in the physical. They've never developed. It's easy to develop the human side, the physical side of being a human. Eat, sleep, having sex, drinking, building a home, accumulating assets. Oh, that's easy. What's the other part of being human is you're supposed to develop the abstract, the spiritual part, and that's grossly misunderstood or de-emphasized. So to survive this, you have to be spiritually attuned and connected, and then you'll be maneuvered in positions with you and your family, of positions of safety. And there's also a sanctuary, a mental element. I brought this before, but for review, King Nebuchadnezzar was around 607 to 562 BCE, Babylonian king, and it was prophesied that he would lose his sanity for a period of 7 years or 7 times. And that's exactly what happened. Roughly, I don't know, estimates maybe around 586 BCE. He was on top of his palace, bragging about his accomplishments, and within that hour, he lost his sanity. And then they thought he came down with a fever or some type of infection. A couple of weeks went by. He was getting more and more animalistic. They didn't know what to do. Anyway, make a long story short, he spent 7 years in the wilderness around that area until his sanity was restored. What we found through looking through these ancient texts, there's a correlation. Humans can lose their sanity and turn animalistic. If the signal is blocked, it's coming from counter space. There's signal that comes from our sun that elevates, it communicates with human DNA. And as long as that signal is intact, there's an ability for a human to remain human. Exercise love, wisdom, power, and justice, the 4 cardinal attributes. If that signal is blocked or something happens to a human DNA that cannot receive that transmission, humans will turn animalistic overnight.
Interesting.
So in this time period, what we're seeing is our trend. You can bet your bottom dollar, this is 100% accurate, and I'm not bragging, it has nothing to do with my ego. In the next 6 years, as this reaches a crescendo with the earth and the problems with crops and winds and these hot pockets and then we'll have hail will get larger and larger because of this phenomenon with the stalled ocean currents, slowing ocean currents and jet stream. We'll have hail damage of softball, soccer-size hail as within 6 years from now, just jaw-dropping. In the meantime, there'll be crazed people, stabbings, robberies, road rage, out of control, to the point where mayors or governors might have to start having curfews and light martial laws because this is out of hand. Grocery stores, you can't go to grocery stores anymore and feel safe. Forget shopping malls or sporting events. And you're like, what's wrong with people? What's happening to them? I know why. They're not connected spiritually. The signal's being interrupted. They revert to animal. And that's what happened with Nebuchadnezzar. That was a precursor of what's going to happen on a grand scale. And this anomaly in our solar system is affecting the sun's output.
Well, let's get a little deeper here since we're on this subject. Now, we have people who've taken the jab. We have people who are, I mean, in the United States, you have the highest concentration of people that are on some sort of mind-altering drug, right? Some sort of a psychotropic. How would they react, right? Because I always think about this, and, you know, we always talk about the 5G, which 5G has done nothing in terms of improving cellular technology. I feel, as somebody who's traveled all over the place, 5G in the United States is, I yearn for the days of 4G LTE where you have consistent coverage all over the place.
Correct.
5G has been absolutely just it's marketing crap. But we also know that there are levels to 5G where it can impact the brain in a severe regard. So how do you think those things play into the frequencies from outside of this world?
Yeah, so I'll give you my answer.
Yeah,
and right,
it's like that movie, The Crazies.
Yeah, Jet Blake, The Outer Limits. So here's why I say fasten your seatbelt. Are you ready?
Yep.
And it's going to seem bat goanna crazy, absolutely. But here it goes. This is free anyway, and for most of the listening audience, just view this as entertainment. But if what I'm about to say is 1 or 2% correct, everyone better freak out. So here it goes. Our understanding is part of this transhumanism that you've covered very well and the guests that you've had, the messenger RNA technology, we've gone over that in great detail. And then, you know, you took a hit with your YouTube channel and all this stuff. Yep. They definitely, through DARPA funding, they've miniaturized computer circuitry well below the 5 nanometer. That was a huge breakthrough. So if they can get that micro technology in the human body to where tens of thousands of these components can fit in one red blood cell, you're like, wow, man, they've really shrunk this stuff down. Okay, well, it can self-assemble and it can receive signaling from 5G cell phone or satellite 5G blips or frequencies can turn on and off and communicate with this nanotechnology. So then you're like, oh, this isn't good. So that this is self-assembly technology, and it can receive signaling or instructions on off. So you go, oh, great. Then what are they up to? Well, when they rolled out this pharmaceutical approach, I don't know, 2021-ish area, it was stated, well, this messenger RNA does not change or gene edit your DNA. Well, later studies found, yes, it does reverse transcript. So it does permanently edit the DNA. So they have technology that can edit DNA, and you're like, uh-oh, this isn't good. So call this speculation or a possible theory, but this should give you goosebumps. What they're wanting to do is tokenize everything. Nick know this very well. They're tokenizing everything. Well, they're tokenizing the human DNA.
Yeah.
Because the old birth certificate and the serial number, trading on Wall Street, where if you're a U.S. citizen, what does that mean? Well, you're collateralized. The U.S. government is borrowing against you and your children. We're the cattle.
Yep.
We're the cattle. We're human resources. We're cattle. We're livestock. Well, the old birth certificate with the red serial number, that's like a 1972 Dodge Dart. No. When everything goes on the blockchain and you have AIs involved, everything needs a whole new economy, a whole new means of value. Instead of a US dollar, you have stable coins and everything. So to bring humanity up to current technology, every human DNA is going to be registered and tokenized. Now, what happens is we're heading into a technocracy where corporations are going to be calling all the shots, and governments are just going to be the boots, the strong arm to enforce. These corporations are going to call the shots. So if you've been gene edited and your human DNA is tokenized, guess who's claiming ownership of you on the blockchain for trade and value dealing with human consciousness? The corporations who, if you got a particular pharmaceutical injection, they have an ID marker in your DNA now. They're going to claim ownership on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So what this happens, and in the Microsoft patent, where you have a little less, around 0.7 volts per cell, we're high voltage. Humans are very electric. We're high voltage, just low amp. So you don't electrocute, and each cell is insulated. So you don't electrocute someone when you give them a hug or shake their hand. But they have technology now where they get the energy from the human cell. They'll never run out of energy.
Yeah, there's that whole matrix thing.
The whole matrix, exactly. So where we're headed is, let's say the bad guys, they want to control human consciousness and human DNA and transact an economy that is off planet. And then that's their agenda. If you remain organic.
Well, it's pretty interesting you say that. I mean, get on a little bit of the woo-woo and on the spiritual side of things here. You read the book of Ezekiel, it talks about the fall of Satan, right? The fall of Lucifer. And it says that Lucifer was cast down to earth and the kings of the earth marveled. This is a pre-human event, right? Before people were on this planet. I look at that, and there's a lot of research that's showing it's because he had an economic model in place that was contrary to what God had for the world, right?
Yes.
It's an economic model. The model, the beast system, the Luciferian system is a type of economic model. This is why when you read about the apocalyptic books or the apocryphal books, such as like Revelation and even in Daniel, it talks about the mark of the beast, right? This whole digital thing. He's going to have a mark on your right hand or on your forehead. You can't buy or sell without this mark. This is the ubiquitous Internet of Things. It's that economic system. So I could see that the fallen ones and a lot of these globalist elitists who think that they're not human, who think that their lineage doesn't descend from Adam but from Cain itself.
Yeah.
And they believe that in order for them to, I mean, let's be honest, they have been for the last several thousand years trying to get back into space from whence they came. This is not only from guys like you and but also these are the the details and information I get from speaking to men who are in the covert and in the dark operations world, who are former CIA, former intelligence services, both here in the United States and in Russia, that I've spoken to, where they say the same thing. Yeah, there's a globalist elitist here. They are trying to get off world. They've been their whole thing. They're trying to escape what is coming. They're trying to escape the judgment that is coming for them. They're trying to download their consciousness into something else entirely.
Yes.
And, we all know the moon is an artificial satellite. It's been parked there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this economic model that they want to take with them for wherever the hell they want that they're desiring to go. I see this, Jet. I see what you're saying.
Right. So to go along with that, the intel that we have, the human design is fascinating because you have the male and female component, and it has to do with the analog sinusoidal wave. The above the x-axis is the male, below is the female. One is just as equal in value as the other, but the sinusoidal analog wave, the male-female, is designed to where the male and female can have progeny, and other species aren't male or female. So that's very unique as far as the human design. But because of our design and the way our DNA is structured in consciousness, we have the ability to create. It's in harmony with free will. And a simple illustration, go, what do you mean create? I go, well, it's simple. Let's say you're a musician and you write a song. Well, you created that song. Where'd it come from? It came out of your consciousness, your free will. You put the tune and the melody, and then you copyright it. That's part of your intellectual property. How about a painting? How about a chef that has a secret recipe? An Italian chef, and people come all over and reserve 2-3 months to get a table, and he's creative. He's creating. So we have the ability to create. So the fact that we can create is connected to the creation of our reality. If you don't have humans, then we won't have a human reality. You need humans to generate reality. So what they're finding out is in this demonic realm, or these non-human silicon-based life forms, humans are of great value because of their DNA and the fact that they are able to influence reality. So they're finding technology now. Here's where it gets go on crazy. But just think about it. Don't dismiss this right away. Over time, just think about it, especially if this is 1 or 2% correct. Through AI and the fact that every one of us has a digital duplicate, they've had it for quite some years running in a simulation for predictive analytics and so forth.
Yep.
If they find a way for human consciousness, and let's do a social score. If AI, let's pick me for example. So I'll go with Jet Blake. If AI looks at Jet Blake, the technologies is going to be where today AI will know, what did I eat today? What was my sugar intake, my caloric intake? Did I exercise? How many times did I go to the restroom? Not to be graphic, but they're developing technology where it's that intrusive. They'll know, did they have sexual intercourse? Yes or no. How long did they sleep? Because it can monitor your REM. And what will happen is if you ate very well today and you got enough sleep, and it knows how fast you're driving your car, at that moment, you will be assigned a value.
Yeah.
And maybe my value is a little bit higher than the next door neighbor because the next door neighbor didn't get much sleep. He ate donuts for breakfast. He didn't do any exercising, and he was doing 10 miles an hour over the speed limit to get to work. So he has a lower social score value in that moment than I do. It's going to monitor every microsecond, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You're like, oh my God, you're kidding me. No, it'll do all that. So what happens is if humans have been tokenized on the blockchain, and then there's technology in that human that can interface with non-human consciousness, what if you were able to have 10 individuals and they all vary in value based on their daily activity, and there's some non-human entity that wants to interface with that individual, and you're like, oh, you want Jim? okay, that's going to cost you this amount of money because Jim's more valuable than Sally. And a non-human entity goes, okay, I'll pay you more for Jim and interface. Do you see where this is heading? This is what they're trying to do pre-flood. They're trying to find a way to get non-human, because if you can piggyback and use a human as an avatar, if you can possess a human, and then that's your foothold in the human reality, in a carbon-based reality, but you're a silicon-based, you can live in two worlds, and you can experience the male-female. This gets into human trafficking, why they love to pick on children. Sure. This is a demonic, because they get, especially under age 10, it gets very bizarre. Well, the technology, ladies and gentlemen, the technology is soon, if not there already, but soon going to get to a point where they'll be able to interface with anyone they want. And if you're a corporation or a military industrial complex that controls this, you are renting out humans as an avatar to a non-human species, and there's a galactic value and trade going on.
There you go. It all comes down to economics, man. It all comes out from day one. When I came on the scene, I always said this: economics is the driver of humanity. It's the driver of civilization.
Correct.
Economics is I mean, the reason why people have books and they read it is because mankind needed to find a way to keep track of all the stuff they had. Hence, keeping the books, right?
Yes.
It's all about economics, and interstellarly, that's where it is as well. We know from several leaks that there are certain government officials that are having contact with off-world intelligence or intradimensional intelligence. This is all being leaked to us, is being dripped to us for a reason. Correct. It all makes sense. Nothing new is under the sun, Jet.
That's right. So if you go back to the original antiquity in the old text, if you use this analogy, or there's other religious beliefs, so plug in what your reference is, but let's use a scriptural reference. Fallen angels, or Satan and demons, what it is, it does boil down to an economic issue, because it's a matter of value of human consciousness and putting a value to that and interfacing with it. Then you have the heavenly realm, this Jehovah, Yahweh, the ancient God of the Hebrews in the biblical text. That realm says, no, humans haven't been designed for you, a non-human, to interface with them and market them and put an economic value. You've crossed your jurisdiction. And they're like, well, we have the right to do this. And another side says, well, no, you don't. This is violating the core design and free. So there's a battle going on as to whether humans should be an economic market, and the value of their DNA and the ability to create, the ability to influence reality. Well, from these fallen angels, or that, they're like, man, that's worth a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's value. And the other realm in heaven, or the encounter space, goes, well, of course it's value, but it's not your place to market it and profit from it. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely many layers to this, and we're kind of caught in the middle. So what happens is, today I tell people, I said, man, you better be very careful spiritually. You better figure out quickly what's going on and get out of this physical realm only, and this entertainment comfort level. You better quickly come up to speed and see that there's a spiritual warfare going on.
Yeah.
And make sure you're not quietly being part of a transhumanism, and you're going to be auctioned off intergalactically, you idiot, unless you stay connected spiritually and you say no to this, and you remain carbon, organic, analog, and you're connected to divine. I use the word Jehovah. This isn't laughing, because their technologies are way more advanced than we're aware of. And like you said, they're slowly letting out news about involvement with interdimensional extraterrestrials. Why are they starting to do this? It's not by accident. They have this plan. Why is Hollywood primed the pump with all these movies the last 30 years?
Conditioning.
Conditioning, right, to get the human mind and the human consciousness prepared for a network they already have in place.
Yeah.
Already greenlit. And CERN's involved in all this and everything.
100%. 100%.
Oh, one last thing, and then we'll go because I know, and Nick's still here, right?
Yes.
You might want to look into it. It's interesting. Some of it's. I'm going to do some more research, but it seems like Bitcoin has copied the human DNA algorithm.
Interesting.
And I'm like, uh-oh. I was kind of suspect of that, but we're looking at the primary numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to follow the same pattern, the human DNA development and how it works as a Bitcoin. I'm like, oh wow, this is over my pay grade. If this is the case, who in the heck came up with this? This is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have the Genesis block.
Right. Yeah, the Genesis block. I mean, look, here's the thing. Bitcoin is literally DARPA. That's basically what it is. It's not some guy named Satoshi Nakamoto who wanted to help humanity.
Okay? Of course not.
Stop the Hollywood BS. Stop the whole fairy tale nonsense. That's what it is. It was the first. It was a beta test to see how it would adopt in the public and in the wild. And this is the reason why that they let it out there in the wild up until it started reaching critical mass. Then they gave the signal for all the institutions to come in and buy it out. And that's exactly what it is. Like I said, several times for several years. 97% of the Bitcoin supply is controlled by less than 3% of the wallets. That's all institutional. It's an institutional game. It's like that for a reason.
Yep.
Yep.
I hope this helped.
Yeah, it is. Jet, great to have you on. Need to have you on again.
Oh yeah. We can keep updated because there's also some future weather patterns that are very, very scary. So how to prepare? I'm really trying to help the Rogue News audience.
Yeah.
I deep down, I care about people, and I do make mistakes, or some of our modeling's off, but it's still pretty darn close. We're over 80%. That's pretty good as far as this. So we're going to have problems with the Earth's magnetosphere.
I mean, the magnetosphere has already collapsed.
Yes, and then what'll happen is there's going to be very bizarre, because I mentioned years ago we'll have reports of snow in July, August.
Well, in Italy, there's rain, sleet, and snow all at the same time in Italy in the middle of August.
Correct, and there'll be what's called toroidal vector tunneling. You could say quantum tunneling if it's atomic theory, but the other definition is more accurate, where the magnetosphere field collapses, and there'll be certain spots, picture like a straw, coming from outer space to the Earth's surface.
Yeah.
And there will be areas less than 20 square miles that will all of a sudden be 60, 30, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And it'll all of a sudden reach minus 270 degrees below zero Fahrenheit.
Well, this has happened before. This is where you have when we've discovered mammoths.
Yes.
Frozen solid, still eating food. Like,
and
if it happened very quickly, it just literally froze them to nothing.
Very, very quickly, and then it closes up. So this might be a 3 to 7 minute phenomenon. But if you're within that 20-mile radius, it doesn't matter what season. Instantly, metal shatters at minus 200. You drop a wrench, it shatters. And then what will happen is you'll be like, what are you talking about? And you could be 100 miles away going, it was 60 degrees. It got what? Minus 200, what? 100 miles away? Are you nuts? And that's very unnerving, because we're dealing with supernatural at this point. So words, the English language cannot explain what's happening today. And it's going to be very difficult to keep your sanity. We're going to see an increase of suicides. Relationships are going to disintegrate and implode the next 6 years like you've never seen before. People not having any way out, and they're going to lose it. And to keep your mental faculty together and keep your sanity will only happen through a sanctuary condition where you're spiritually connected to the divine. And that's enough of my TV ministry. I'll quit there.
Very well said. Jet, thank you for coming on, folks.
Oh, sure.
He is the scientist at large, Jet Blake, the physicist of physicists. And we're gonna have him back on real soon, as things are really ratcheting up here. Watch the anomalies, watch these volcanoes, these earthquakes, these tsunamis that are occurring. It's incredible. And again, the magnetosphere has collapsed. And I remember what Velos has said to me like over a year ago. Yeah, the magnetic sphere is going to collapse, and a lot of things are going to happen. A lot of people are going to think it's directed energy weapons, and it's not. It's actual weather patterns. There is that thing with HARP, but this is beyond that. What is occurring? It's beyond that. So I want to thank you all for listening in. With that being said, we're over and out. We'll be back tomorrow. Keep it locked and loaded right here, roguenews.com. Cowboy, take it away.